Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Okay, so good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. With all that's going on in the world, you know, it's been nice to actually also just... I've been following what's been going on in the Middle East and then watching some football. It was quite light relief over the weekend as well, watching the sports. So, Mark, where do we start? I've just lost my place on my screen here, so I'll let you start off with wherever you want to start, my friend.
Well, I think Manchester United and Crystal Palace is as good place as any because... we kind of need to bring ourselves back to when Michael Carrick was first appointed as interim, and this kind of shocked me when I first heard this news. Not only is it the best start, or joint best start with Ange Postecoglou for a manager with 23 points, but he was also 11 points off Aston Villa when Amram was sacked and he was brought in. Yeah. Now they're above Aston Villa.
I know, it's amazing.
In third place, which is... it's kind of crazy now. It was a grind of a game because the first half was all Crystal Palace. They scored in the first 3 minutes with a pretty good corner where Lenny Yoro just forgot to do his job, and it was a good opportunity goal by Palace. But Palace Man United came out with a much better second half, and when Palace had a player sent off, which is a questionable sending off because contact started before the penalty area, but Man United got a penalty, and then Sesko, of course, with the winner, who gave a very good interview this week about how he doesn't really care if he's starting or if he's not starting. He just wants to impact the game and win games for Man United, which is probably one of the better mentalities we've had from a striker down the years. When you think of the lineup, but United took advantage when Palace slowed down and showed composure, and now they're in third place.
Yeah, and you got to say, Michael Carrick, you got to give him the job, really, haven't you? And I know that kind of tempts fate a little bit sometimes when suddenly they get the job, suddenly they're not as good as they were when they were interim manager. But you got to give him a shot, I think. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fighting the urge. I'm trying to find every reason not to give him the job, but he's not really giving anyone any ammunition to fire at him with that because he has, it's 7 games, 6 wins, 1 draw. He's really doing everything right, and I suppose the question is, not whether Carrick should get the job, but whether Man United and its fans are willing to clean the slate when he does get the job, because we can't expect him to then go on and win every match next season like he's doing this season. There needs to be an expectation reset, which I just personally don't think either Man United, the board, or Man United, the fans, would be capable of doing. So I think it is better to go out and get someone and get the best someone. We have Alonso on the market, you have Zidane on the market, you have Glasner now coming on the market. You have a lot of good managers there, and I feel if you do get Carrick, there has to be a reset of, hey, we can't expect to pick up where we left off this season. We have to reset, rebuild, and reinvest. And, the question is, if Man United are willing to do that, then Carrick's your man, but I just don't know if they are.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Michael Carrick, of course, it's just doing so well, and who'd have thought that he'd get Man United into third with a Champions League position looking more and more certain the more games they play. So I understand. Spoken like a true Man United fan, that's all I'm going to say on that one. I watched Arsenal beat Chelsea, and I thought Chelsea, didn't lie down and let Arsenal. It wasn't a walkover for Arsenal at all, and down to 10 men, of course, in the end. And then Chelsea then actually get a goal which was ruled offside, way offside, but nonetheless, it looked like just for a few seconds that they'd stolen a point from them with 10 men. But what were your thoughts on that?
Arsenal were under a lot of pressure because they went into this knowing Manchester City had won their match, and there was a 2-point gap between them and City, so there was a lot of pressure on them.
And the game in hand, and they've got to play at City as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot going against them in that regard. But one thing I'll say is I'm pretty sure if you go watch the highlights of this match, it's just corner after corner,
yes.
because it was just set pieces galore. But Arsenal capitalised on that, and Chelsea got reduced to 10 men when Neto made just the tackle you don't make when you have a yellow card, all right? Because the referee is never giving you leniency with a tackle like that, especially when it's to bring a player, into a goal-scoring opportunity. But I think it was a really mature showing from Arsenal. They used their secret power, which is their set pieces, which Chelsea used against them in the first half, and it worked pretty well. But it just became too much for them. They couldn't really get back into the game after Neto had left, and discipline, it's an important part of the game. You can't abandon it.
Now, as you said, City, talking about grinding out results, City grind out a result. Ireland, is he injured at the moment? Mark, I didn't see, he wasn't on the pitch, so I'm assuming he's injured.
I don't have any confirmation. I didn't hear anything about like a long injury. So
right.
If it is something, it's short term.
Yeah. Okay. Well, City anyway did get all 3 points, and again, that's what they're doing at the moment, and they're keeping that pressure on. For the neutral, of course, I'm not a City fan or a Arsenal fan. I mean. There's no secret, I'm not a big Arsenal fan. I went with some friends yesterday. I was hoping that Chelsea might just get a draw just to shake it up a little bit as a neutral. But anyway, City is still keeping that pressure going though.
Yeah, I think the important thing about, if you look at title challenges like this, you don't always need fireworks, because narrow wins like this get you the title.
Yeah.
If we look at Arsenal's last 2 draws, I personally think City could have maybe turned those into narrow wins, where I just don't know if that's something this Arsenal team is capable of. It either seems to go all for them or all against them.
Yeah.
So narrow wins like that, they definitely go a long way in securing the title, and it's something that this Arsenal team, it's a very young Arsenal team. I feel like we talk about the world is on them, but it's a pretty young Arsenal team that has many, many good seasons yet to come. And I see in media a lot of people talk as like this is the season where they have to do it. But this is a very, very talented young squad that still have a bit of maturing to do in getting these narrow wins.
Yeah, that comes out of the back of the amount of times that Arsenal have wobbled, And I think just the nervousness that's even around watching the match yesterday, the nervousness at the Emirates, and just when that second goal came in, kind of just allowed themselves to enjoy it a little bit. Let's do Liverpool-West Ham before we go on to F1 predictions.
Yeah, I saw a really funny comment, which was a Liverpool fan said that this was the most unconvincing 5-2 win I've ever seen. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think a 5-2 win, no matter what, is great for morale. It puts them in 5th place above Chelsea. It puts them in fighting distance of Aston Villa, who are on a small little downturn, which is a bit temporary, I hope. But Liverpool's attack was relentless. West Ham just couldn't really cope with it. And when Liverpool click like this, they do look unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. They do.
So it's just a question of if they can carry that into the next game. But I thought it was an entertaining game. I loved when Souček did it was like a hand wheel kind of celebration when they were 3-1 down. I love that kind of football banter. But it was a good match to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's move on then to the Formula One season predictions. When does it all kick off, Mark?
Well, it kicks off this Sunday, 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. I guess for people in Spain, 4 for those in Britain. So it's pretty interesting. It'll kick off in Melbourne. So we've had some really, really good openers there in the last few years. But of course, this is the year where last year we could kind of tell that McLaren and Red Bull were going to be up there because they had been up there for the last 2 years. This year, though, it's a new set of regulations. There's a new team on the grid. Engine suppliers have changed around. Red Bull have their new powertrain. Mercedes have showcased a really impressive engine that Alpine and Williams are going to be using. So it's really a question of we don't know what's going to happen because the preseason can only tell you so much because you can tell, how many laps a team did, but you've no idea how high the engines were turned up. How were they really hammering it, or were they just like taking it easy? You can't really tell that kind of stuff. So the Melbourne is where you tell, who's going to be the best. So making predictions now, we might have to update them in a few weeks, But Mercedes seem like the team to beat when it comes to the teams, because they have obviously had a very impressive last year with Kimi Antonelli integrating into the team, and George Russell is expected to make the jump to be the next Drivers' World Championship. And then there's a massive question over Verstappen. Red Bull have got the new powertrain, and a lot of people were impressed by it. But see, the thing is, we don't know what to believe, because Mercedes, we're seeing in the preseason, Red Bull looks really fast. Red Bull really looks really fast, and then Red Bull were like, oh no, we don't really look that fast. So there's just a bunch of mind games going on. Then a bunch of people are saying, well, Ferrari look fast, and this is the thing, a bunch of rumors are swirling, and it's just each team spreading rumors, trying to muddy the waters.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's a bit of banter going on. It's, a bit like the boxing, kind of a bit of muscle flexing, early days, just to kind of get the psychological edge. But I'm actually looking forward to it, because I think it's probably more competitive now than it's been for a long time. So, and I am a Ferrari fan. I don't hold out much hope. We shall see how the season goes. Mark, as always, thank you very much, my friend. Really appreciate it.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.